Okay. Perfect. That for you. Okay. All right, I have 7 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum present. Mary, are you good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going down the agenda, we have citizen comment period at the library board. Are there any citizens in the audience? Seeing none, we will continue on. Consent item 1, consideration and possible action to approve April 13th, 2023 library board meeting. If you don't mind, take a minute to look over the draft minutes from last month that was put together for us. Are there any requested amendments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve? Got a motion, is there a second? And a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Moving down the agenda, new business item 1, consideration and review proposed fiscal year 23 through 24 cloud public library budget. Included inside of the packet, Colleen has provided a draft budget for the 23-24 fiscal year. Is there anything that you want to say on this, Colleen?
So this is the approved budget from the last fiscal year, and the one that looks like an Excel spreadsheet like here, this is the additions. So everything will stay the same, and these are the things I asked for in addition. And this is going to be what I present to the council on Saturday.
My only questions here, Colleen, the line of outreach children's librarian, showed a cost difference of 50,000, the estimated cost is 60. That 10,000 difference, what does that relate to, or what's the difference?
Well, it actually was me just figuring that there were like expenses for insurance and retirement and all that kind of stuff, all the benefits. And the way it looks actually, because they just put it in like the real amount of what it would be. So it actually is more than that. I actually can show you. There's an updated one that I got today, believe it or not, that is, if you want to see it, I can show it to you. But yeah, so I think it's actually, the salary is actually, I think like with benefits, I think it's like 74. So it's more. So this is what I originally gave them, and then HR looked at it and looked at what we were asking for, what the qualifications we were looking for, what the rate is of other employees here currently, and like what would be equitable to join as a person who has at least 2 years experience in public libraries. So that was sort of just a placeholder, and then they specified what it was in the City of Kyle salary sort of scale. So the other numbers are the same, but that one has changed in their final review that is going to be presented to council.
So like salary cost analysis.
Yes, that's what they do. Yeah. Mhm. So when I sent this to them, they said, just send what you think should be the salary, and then the HR will do the magic of like what.
What it should be.
Yeah.
It will work.
Yes.
And then also see the 5,000 in legal services as an increase over the existing 0. Is there an expected use? Is that more protection because it wasn't in there historically?
Well, that is because, this year I had to, we're hosting a, program for teens, a mental health program this summer. And, it's with the Dell it's the Dell Medical School. And it had a memorandum of understanding and it was very, very involved. It had FERPA and HIPAA and a lot of really involved language, and I needed it to go through legal because it involving medical records and kids' health and stuff, I didn't feel comfortable looking at it myself and going with it. So even though I didn't have any money in the legal line, my boss said to send it to legal anyway, and we'll figure out where. But then moving forward, anything, if we start having, like, we're thinking of having like mental health type workshops or whatever, and if there's anything that has any legal, whatever, now we just are covered. It may be more than what we need, but it's just there, yeah.
And the legal services, obviously, for staff, like if it was needed or anything like that, or for who exactly?
No,
Where's this?
this is more like a city council initiative. They asked us to look into like just like what types of services do we have in the city, and are there any places that we could,
Gotcha.
yeah, that kind of thing. Mhm.
Any other questions from?
I wondered if you did not anticipate another cost of living adjustment or merit increase as an addition, because there was an increase from to 2021 and 2022. So I wonder if there is also going to be an increase from 2023.
That actually automatically happens. I don't have to ask for it, but it's not going to be as big as this past year. It was 20% because it was a big initiative that city council wanted to do. So I'm told that it's supposed to be kind of just what is typical, like 3% or 4% or whatever it is, but that we didn't have to ask for it. It's literally just kind of somehow or other it's built in. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
It looks in the furniture is additional, but some of the other programs,
Mm-hmm.
there's no additional for them, but will there be in the future?
Which one? I didn't hear what you said.
The only thing that I noticed was that the ebooks and the furniture had additional, but none of the other programs did. So I was just looking at some other programs. I'm wondering, will those increase in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I could, every year we get the opportunity to ask for more or say this isn't sufficient, and, then we have to give a justification. I know that those additional things were based on a service, the Hoopla, I think, was the reason why it was at increase. And the 9,000 for furniture was for some study carrels and for one of our study rooms. So that was like for a specific thing. So those are things that if I had things that I wanted, like this additional sheet here is for anything. So the way they do the budget is basically everything's going to be the same except whatever you ask for that is a new need or an additional. So that's kind of how it works. So that's why I showed you last year's, because it's like, or what we're in right now, because there isn't a pretty like version of this yet because it's in process. So this is what I sent to them.
Does the 16 grand for like the mobile maintenance and gas include?
I think that would be all part of that too. Yeah, I have to actually look into that, to be honest, because that was because the Friends are going to be donating the bookmobile. this amount, I have been doing research and talking to other directors in the area that have bookmobiles, and so that amount was suggested to me by other, like I asked around, like, what is the reasonable, what should I ask for? And so I don't know, that's something I'm not sure. I could definitely find out. It's definitely a great question. And look into that.
There are no other questions or comments. We'll move on. Continued business, item 1, consideration and possible action on the interlibrary loan policy. So for item 1 and item 2, I asked Colleen to bring a projector and a laptop. We can work through this here together. On the interlibrary loan side, the only changes from our last meeting were consistent use of the word Kyle Public Library versus the sporadic library, Kyle, whatever else we put inside there, but no other substantive edits. Do we feel comfortable with that draft as it was from last month, or is there any other items that we need to discuss? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to table this topic until next. Actually, no, wait a second. I see Jessica coming in. I'll make sure she's involved.
Oh, thank goodness. This is hard work.
Would encourage that heavy noteless for all we gotta do for the next.
Yes. It's like I can't take notes and review stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks really good.
We did misunderstand in the last meeting, but I thought we were talking about the TR, somehow it was.
No, it's paid at the, when they pick it up, yeah.
I think it still reflects that. I think it still says that. We pay it.
Yeah, it needs to say, yeah, it gets, let's see,
And it's right now, it says at the time of the request.
okay,
Wow.
okay. At the time of the, okay, yes, so this $2 cost will be paid. Should I go ahead and, it's when it's picked up.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, let's do this $2 cost we paid at the, if you want me to type out, I'm doing that. I don't want to put a lot of burden on you.
Okay.
You'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll take ownership. We feel comfortable with
This,
it.
this is what it felt like. We haven't gone past that. We don't have to put additional notes in my phone, because I'm looking afterwards. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, of course, yeah. That's probably added too much to what you're gonna.
A receipt.
Figure.
Is that inaccurate?
Let's do application received, yes,
Does that address your concern?
in a manner. Yeah, and will be paid, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Thank you. Were there any other edits that were not made? Hearing none, and before we take action on here, I want to explain the mindset that we have for the next policy as well, to make sure that we're not running cavalier over your guys' wishes. So, as ordinance currently exists, and we discussed before, this board does not have the authority to formally adopt and approve policies. That has to be sent to council formally. We don't know yet for sure, but we may find out later tonight that that possible change on the agenda for next Tuesday's meeting at council. So because we're in this weird limbo period, if we have policies that we want to get approved and updated, but we don't necessarily, I don't necessarily want to send it to council for them to approve, at the same time we're asking them to change ordinance to send it back to us for approval. It's a weird spot to be in. I would like to take two different actions with these two policies. With this one, tabling it for next meeting, this is not the priority from a protection standpoint or process standpoint. Definitely address this. However, council wants to have it addressed in June library board meeting. But because the collection policy is more of a priority to get updated and approved, I'm going to make a motion, assuming we can build consensus on the final draft tonight, to send that policy to council for approval under the current charter mechanism. And Jessica, I'll make the motion that way it's specific, we get into the minutes clearly. But that way, should council decide, hey, you want to change ordinance and delegate that authority back to the board, the charter has changed, and therefore that motion is moot. And we'll just take it up again in June. But I have to go to council anyways for the June 6th meeting with Colleen. And so that'd be a time that if council said, no, council wants to retain that authority amongst themselves, we can discuss it and have a discussion while we're all there together. Does that sound fair, reasonable, any pushback? Like, I don't want to just run cavalier over the board.
Reason. Do you mind just going to the very first page? I just want to make sure that I'm looking at the right document. Right there. So under the proposed, second line, library, do we need to do Kyle?
Yeah.
That's the only one that I had, and that was it.
I thought that we had changed some of these, so let's do this one. Starting at the top. I'm not going to change the existing policy. I'm not changing that word. All right, all instances of library now public.
Good, yay.
I'm good.
If there's no other discussion, I would entertain a motion to table this policy for the June 2023. There's been a motion from Christina,
Yes.
second from Mary. All in favor? Opposed? Passes. Item 2, consideration of possible action on the collection development policy. So here on the screen, I tracked changes in which I used Christina, yours as the baseline. Jessica, your recommendation I added in as well, just to kind of line up all in one document. I took my pass through it as well. And then Joy, I have on the last page your notes from 2 months ago. That way we didn't ignore them at the end, but it was harder to track change with that. But I want to make sure yours are not excluded from the discussion. So works for you all. I'm going to just kind of start at the beginning. We'll go down to the first track changes to see what happens. If you have any other notes on the way down to that next line item, let me know, pause me, and we'll update.
Just from a naming convention,
Yes.
just since we just let the other one, onto the interlibrary loan policy.
Yes.
On this one, we call Colleen the Kyle Public, I think, director, if I'm not mistaken, where in this one is just library director. So since we're making changes from document to document, we want to be consistent, just from a starting standpoint. Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so the proper terminology on the way that we're headed is, what again, sorry?
So if we're going off of
Yeah.
this, it should read Kyle, Public Library, either staff or director. So we need to add Kyle Public in front of
Okay.
everything in here.
Perfect. Section 1, mission statement. I have no notes. Anybody else have any concerns? Item 2, purposes of the collection development policy. I don't have any notes from the team. Are there any other notes that I have missed?
Do we want to add
Right.
I don't know, but
Let's just do that once and be done with it. All right, I'll keep library highlighted, that way we'll just find it and go down the list. Item 3, the note here is to remove the words racial, ethnic, cultural, education, and age. And then it there, that way it just reads reflecting the diversity of the community. Jessica, I believe your notes, but correct me if I'm wrong, is that this is more encompassing versus being too narrow with limiting the types of diversity.
Yes, that's my proposed change.
Any concerns?
So I was fine with that, but if we can go back to number 2, because you have staff in there, second line. So I don't know if that's something that you're wanting to do now or later, but so it's gonna have to be throughout.
Okay. So we will approve that change when I accept all changes at the end. We will also take this note. Get rid of it. We're on agreement. Next proposed change is striking out item B as it currently reads, replacing it with the Kyle Public Library is committed to the free and open distribution of ideas and diverse opinions, which shall be reflected in the library's collection and available to patrons who may form their own views.
Yeah.
Before I go on, Colleen, I can see your face. And I want to
I'm
make
just
sure that
trying to
you're
see what,
able to
if
read it
anything
or-
changed, like what, so it's really just restating that in a better way. Yeah.
Moving on. Item C, the Kyle Public Library does not through material selection imply agreement with the viewpoints and contents and materials, with the viewpoints of contents and materials within the collection. Okay, moving on. Item D, we're just correcting the name. Item E, and I think here I want to certainly talk about how we're going to correct this, because I think we have two stances. We have up here in the section about the topic, we're removing explicit mention of types of diversity, but we are expanding it down below. Christine, I do take your note here, physical limitations, replacing that language with disability due to protecting that authority that has a protected class designation. So does the board feel that it is better to be explicit or better to leave it broad with this, or is it appropriate to take kind of two different stances? Sections.
I think it makes more sense here, and we, because of the overarching. Being more regular. Even then, at like, this slant test, we want those protected classes. The basis for them, things that are.
You have to catch up at the end too, so.
So I get the sense from the group that we are comfortable being explicit with criteria here. We will just change physical limitations to disability. Okay.
Is it plural or singular? Disabilities or disability? I don't know.
It's really not.
Yeah, I would say disability.
Thank you. Item F, it's changing services aimed at children to services focused on children.
In my aid.
In the context of children?
Specifically, yes.
Is there other language, Colleen, that's being used in other program areas in the library that aimed at is
I'm
more
trying to think
appropriate?
about what, okay, children shall be encouraged to and enjoy reading. Same collection. I feel like focus and aim don't mean the same thing in this context, so I feel like geared. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I know what they're trying to say. I mean, I didn't write this, so I've inherited this, so I'm like, but I think it's, what they're trying to say, what they were trying to say, the collection is used for our programs, right, that are designed for kids. So focused on, yeah, that maybe designed for, because focused on sort of doesn't, I think it's saying that it's using the materials in our collection to facilitate the programs that we offer, right? So, so, design for children, yeah, yeah, I think that's a little more accurate.
Intended,
Intended might be better.
intended for children.
Intended, that might be better, yeah, more accurate. Because the programming, we're referring to the programming that is, yeah. I get that.
Do we just put that standard in there?
I'm wondering if that's something we refer to that way above. You know, I wonder, I don't know, do we refer to it in a, with an adjective before? I don't-
Collection.
Yeah,
That's what it is throughout.
it's not necessary, I don't think. Definition.
We're saying, is that the consensus from the group?
I almost feel like it could be like curated, like, or something, because I think maybe what they're trying to get across is that they were selected with care, you know, because that's really kind of, because I feel like we're trying to show that there was expertise and care drawn into it. So outstanding, I think, might have been the adjective they used to try to convey that they were selected carefully. That's what I'm guessing.
Do we feel that this is a better phrasing?
Shall be encouraged to develop through the curation. You're not encouraging to develop curation, but a curated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's-
About a curated collection of materials.
Mhm.
Hearing no other notes. Item G, no proposed changes. Item H, art and library. Item I, removing the library starts to provide resources and replacing it as the collection shall include resources. My only concern with shall is that word puts burden on the library that you have to do something.
Okay, I just want to make sure everything is okay. Sorry.
So you're thinking may or must? Do.
Wait, do you shall up above though, too? With H.
Shall be encouraged.
Shells and.
Because that's definitely throughout the whole document. And so you change it in one place, you're gonna have to kind of consider changing it elsewhere.
I think that that's a bar that the library can easily meet, that they're providing resources to assist patrons of all ages in achieving educational and personal goals. It's not all, we can't, it's just, I mean, every single person's extensive, but I think the way it's written, it's not too much of a burden probably for the library to meet.
If that's a consensus, we'll continue on. Item J, just correcting the library. Moving on to section 4. The proposed edits are explicitly enumerating the items that are being considered, adding an artistic creative quality, request by library patrons, representation of diverse points of view. Jessica, that had some more thought. Can I get some more words out of you?
I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to be thoughtful. I think it's okay. I think that in some situations, there has been pressure put onto educational establishments in terms of representation of diverse points of view, including points of view that may not be, I don't know. I think there's some things that would be arguable about, like, whether there are diverse points of view about this thing, if that makes sense. And so that language has been employed by some groups to say, we need diverse points of view about this thing that other groups may say, there are not diverse points of view about this thing. Actually, this is the thing.
So,
Does that make sense? Am I communicating what I'm
let
saying?
me give an example that's intentionally provocative in a way to make sure I understand what you're saying.
You're going to provide hypothetical,
Yes.
intentionally provocative example. Okay.
Correct. I am a cult leader with some off-the-rails ideas, and I walk in and say, I want these books that I wrote as this off-the-rail cult leader to be on the shelf. That would be here at the request of the library patron myself. And if I argue that it is a diverse point of view, because I am one of many thoughts on this topic, that would therefore be 2 of the criteria. And the concern is that should me as the off-the-rails leader have the ability to place those materials on the shelf by using this policy as written.
So, but I think the other thing too, what caused my attention to the 3 added is in the paragraph, it's not just the 2 criteria, but look at how it ends. An attempt shall be made to find 2 positive reviews from credible professional review sources. What are those sources? What are those credible things? And where's that? And how are you going to find that for those 3 items, specifically the one requested by the patrons? So if there is no such thing, then is it worth putting on the list? Otherwise, you're putting something on that you're always going to say no.
Do you mean request by patrons? Or?
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, all the 3, I think if we're considering whether those 3 items should be added, I think we need to give consideration to that last phrase on there that says, but in all selections, every attempt shall be made to find 2 positive reviews from credible professional review sources. So what is that?
I think those are listed later
Yeah, they
on,
are.
like the purpose review and the form book review.
Okay, but you don't think that that's for a part of the criteria for all those items?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
So
Oh yeah, those are.
let's maybe meet in the middle.
So that's maybe the introduction part needs to be clarified.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering, is materials selected by one or more of the following criteria? I mean, should it say two, or should it be, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is one enough? I mean, I'm just hypothetically. How is it now? Well, the way with patron requests, we don't fulfill every patron request. Yeah, we check reviews. We do all the things, you know, we see, is it, current, what's the copyright date? You know, we also look to see if there are other libraries in the area that have it, you know, those kinds of things. So we go through a whole process. So we don't fulfill every patron request. We do go through, there's a criteria that we go through.
So it's not this criteria? Or it is?
It is, yeah. It's this criteria, but, I mean, to be honest, we put patron requests, you know, we do value patron requests. I mean, we are a small community, we like to meet people's needs and, you know, so, but if it's something that, doesn't have reviews that are credible, then we would not add it. I mean, reviews are really professional reviews are really, what we hold our decisions with the strongest, yeah. Mhm.
I think that for me, when I was developing a youth services collection, when books would come out, you know, and I would get so excited, like, okay, it's time for me to do my spring collection. I'm looking at all of the new books that come out. There would maybe be a book that is, you know, about some like event that has happened or something like that. I'd be like, wow, what a great book, like to add to our collection. I want to get this book. It wasn't part of my typical process to then think, okay, now do I have another book on this side, like to balance that book out? Just the way that a collection develops over time, I think, is a little more nuanced than that. So I'm not like hard pressing no on 15, but I do have some thoughts about how that would actually play out and be interpreted and what that actually would mean in practical terms for the people who are developing a collection. Yeah, I feel like it could be interpreted in ways that could be problematic.
How do you balance out books that are things that have happened in history that cause a lot of controversy by nature?
Yeah, I mean, so if you have a book for children about the Holocaust, and then someone comes in and they say, well, I don't think this is true, you need to have a book for children that says that it didn't happen or that it didn't happen this way, then that's an argument for a diverse viewpoint that could be very problematic in terms of collection development. And you would have this, you do have this credible professional review sources to help with some of that. I don't know, it's just, I don't want to belabor it. It's just something I'm kind of thinking about and raising to see what everybody else thinks.
Just my DEI work, there's been times where I work for state entities and then they're trying very hard for a neutral stance. And there's been sometimes policies where you have a speaker that says that specific viewpoint, another speaker that was different viewpoint, and to your point, sometimes the pushback is we don't want to do that. This is the purpose of this event, is to bring forward this topic, and so to be asked to have more of a balanced view doesn't feel neutral, it feels defensive. And so, thank you.
This is a real tricky one.
Yeah.
I think the thing that is, the reality is that librarians do that without it being stated or not. I mean, we look for diverse viewpoints because that's what a library is supposed to do. I mean, we rely on credible, if there's a credible review on a book on a particular political entity that I agree with or don't agree with, if the review is good and there's anticipated demand and it's contemporary significance, then I'm gonna get the book. I mean, that's just kind of really like one of the founding guiding principles of librarianship. So now if it's self-published on Amazon and it's, and there are many reviews, then we would, then about the same person, I mean, it's implied. I mean, it's kind of how it works, whether that's there or not. I mean, I guess, so.
It's in the purpose
Mhm.
statement. It's in the
Yeah.
original purpose statement is to reflect the diversity of the community.
Mhm.
Are there ever times that you do make a selection when you cannot find two positive reviews? Is it just as every attempt? Like, is there-
See, that maybe that's something that we would need to look at. Every attempt shall be made to find two positive reviews. I mean, maybe that needs to be clarified and,
At least, at least two positive reviews.
Mhm. And maybe it shouldn't say every attempt shall be made, because that sounds like you're not working hard enough on it. I don't know, that's just,
If it doesn't have a qualifier, they're like every attempt, then
Let's see.
will people have to look up, find two reviews for every book they buy for the library? And like put it in a spreadsheet or something? Because that could be a little onerous, you're just trying to buy the next Diary of a Wimpy Kid and
but I mean, the way the vendors that we use, the reviews are right there. So
Okay.
you wouldn't even, I don't buy anything without looking at the reviews.
Okay.
I mean, the way the vendor we use is set up, it's like you have the reputable reviews all right there. So, and it's kind of just like part of, yeah. Now, am I gonna read about something that is like the next book in a series that I know is, maybe not, but, I mean, it's just there. It's not like it's not like, it's laborious. It's just sort of part of the process. Yeah.
Yeah, try to make the sentence there and just butcher it. So the intent that I'm trying to make this sentence is that before an item gets included into the collection, you're first going to attempt to find at least two reputable sources, which we define in section 5, and it's going to meet the following criteria. Now, to make that actually English is where I'm going.
Is that in attempt?
All new selections are first be required
Shall
require at least two.
Yeah.
I think with that language up there changed so that it's taken out and it's more like there will be positive reviews from credible professional review sources. That ameliorates a little bit the concerns that I had about number 15.
So as we have it written, an item need not meet all criteria for inclusion, but all new selections shall require at least 2 positive reviews from credible professional review sources as outlined in section 5 of this policy. And then we enumerate the criteria that we are looking to better.
On 14, I would just remove library, because I think we have patrons throughout the document without that term.
Any concerns or contrarian views? Hearing none. Jessica, is that your face for more time, or you have more thoughts? Or are you
This
good?
is just a weird face.
Okay.
It's irrelevant to the content at hand.
Dina, your notes here, passing it over to Colleen about selection tools. What do you, I guess, do you want to read your own comment? I don't want to take the voice from you.
I didn't have a lot of tools that were needed, that are used right now to complete that. So I just wanted to make sure that it made sense and your experience of what section 5.
Well, the review sources that, most of these are ones that are the standard in the library profession and, are the ones that are populated into Ingram where we order our books from. So, you know, Kirkus is really good and, School Library Journal, Hornbook, Book List. I mean, New York Times Book Review is good too, but I mean, when you are purchasing and you're looking and you're reading reviews, I mean, the Goodreads and the Shelf ones, those are more like, patron side, yeah. And so these are the, professional, like,
And that's what I was wanting to know, because I know what I look.
yeah.
When I'm looking for a review, but I doubt that's probably.
Well, and these you actually have to pay for.
Right.
So, you couldn't really look at necessarily Kirkus reviews unless you subscribe to Kirkus. So these are like industry, sort of, and Booklist is one that you pay for. And so, and when you're a member of Ingram, which is where we buy our books from, it's part of the service and it's like integrated in. So, it's nice. You don't have to sit there with the magazine or go online. It's like, it's part of, like, it's paid into it. So it's like, they're all listed with each, yeah, it's very nice. Old
No,
school,
it
you
sounds
used to
great.
have to have a book and, you know, and now it's like, whoo, it's all right there. So you don't have to go too far. You don't have to toggle between tabs or anything.
Yes, no, I figured there was something that use that is trumps what the general
Yeah.
public would use to look up reviews. So I didn't know what those were. So
Yeah.
it's not-
Yeah, and on Amazon, if you notice, like, they'll actually use those too. A lot of times they'll put like Booklist or Kirkus or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people outside of the industry don't really know the difference between, like, you know, I mean, but in the library world, and sometimes they'll have different opinions. So you'll sort of be like, okay, these people are very critical and these people are, so then you have to sort of weigh it, like, you know.
Sounds like, are you comfortable if we move these comments? And
Yeah,
we're not adding in any more resources, or are there other resources we need to add that we don't?
I didn't know what those resources were, so that's why I was like, I don't know if we're missing something that's really important that should be in here. I couldn't tell just from reading it, so.
Well, the colleague, are we missing something?
Yeah, we're missing like.
You're the expert. Should we add anything else that you are currently using
No.
that we need to talk about?
I think those are the best ones and the ones that, are probably the most reputable.
My only other question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Out of the library profession.
That's what my question was, is should this be library director, that's the standards that are established by you? Or is there a different staff member that you have that's making these determinations?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Okay,
I think it's just weird because it automatically put Kyle Public in front of it.
See, I was wondering, did you mean industry in there? I mean, who's the one, are you
I'm not
choosing
sure.
this
Hold on, let me
collection?
see.
Yeah.
Quality is pursued by applying professional expressions established by the.
And it could be that I messed up, I'm gonna add this in where I shouldn't have.
Yeah, maybe it, I mean, it is the library profession. I mean, these are industry, it's not just the library profession, it's really like publishing profession too. It's kind of like, these are like the gold standard of like what people who are choose select, like these are the things that like book buyers for bookstores would also use for reviews. So I'm trying to think of how by the library and publishing industry. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I guess this statement is trying to talk about why we rely on these sources, I think.
You just say qualities are pursued by applying professional discretion and industry standards.
Yeah. But maybe it's like literary and industry standards. I'm trying to think of like why, what someone looking back 10 years from now, if none of us are here, are they gonna know what we're thinking by that industry word?
Thank you for that. Not that. So you said?
Literary and library industry? I mean, I don't know, because it's like, this is kind of like the book world and the library world. This is kind of standards that, I don't know. But literary industry, I'm not
What
really.
about publishing industry?
Publishing? Yeah, that makes sense. I think publishing industry standard is actually good because that speaks to like how we're in an era now of like self-published kind of. So like this is holding it to like a higher standard of like, there's a publishing industry that makes these things and not just the people that just do it through their self-published kind of version.
Joey, you have more words for us.
I just thought of it right now, but maybe it doesn't. When it comes to non-books, like non-book things that are in the collection, do those previous things and these two sets of criteria still hold water?
It's a good question.
Videos, magazines.
Or even the library of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's messy here,
Yeah.
The Library of Things has its own,
but set of
Yeah, it has its own thing.
But like suitability of physical form for use for library use, that could fit library of things. Cost and availability could fit.
Existing collection items, I could see library things fitting with it.
Uh-huh. Oh, you know what we could add is Common Sense Media as a resource, because that could fit with, videos.
And is that a like product name?
Yes, Common Sense Media.
Ah,
Good catch.
Yeah, that could cover, that's what I typically use for,
common sense.
media. You can use any kind of media, video games, apps, all that kind of stuff. That would be inclusive. That's a good point.
Is there anything else that you?
So moving on. It's a huge piece. Let's get rid of that. So we'll fix that at the very end. Item 6. Correct library. Items, any other notes for item 6? Item 7, we'll update this name as well. The only other notes that the team had was a just itemization of the criteria. Any other comments or notes? Item 8, purchasing libraries, again. There was a comment.
Okay, can you go back to the
Sure.
policy? So it's just, this is just talking about weeding, like getting rid of stuff. So you're saying, your question was, it's missing,
Well, like if we're gonna get rid of stuff just because it's tattered or, dirty or whatnot, are we gonna replace it with the same book automatically? Or are
Well,
we
that-
just gonna get something, not gonna immediately replace it at all, or?
that, depends on the circulation of the material. So, yeah, that's part of the process. I don't know if that's something that needs to be spelled out, but yeah, you look at the circulation statistics on it. If it's been going out a lot, then you would replace it. If it's not, then you might just get rid of it.
It's fine, because
I'm fine with it not being in there. It was just.
Removal of by removing materials that are worn during or otherwise contracted or unlikely to circulate, and just leaving it as provides an attractive appearance.
Mhm. But the part about unlikely to circulate could be the part about what you're talking about, right? Of, you know, I mean, we do decide if something is not circulating, we get rid of it. I mean, if it hasn't gone out in years, it's like, you know, and it's not a classic, it's not an award winner, it doesn't have local significance. I mean, so it is more than just like I mean, there can be a book that's in pristine condition, but it hasn't gone off the shelf in 10 years, you know, then we might pull it, you know, and get rid of it, because, so that is,
Are unlikely to survive. No.
Yeah.
Not circulated.
yeah, unlikely means that we're thinking that we're not basing it on facts, like, I think, yeah, changing it to like, hasn't circulated maybe, or, in, you know, because that's like proof, like in the data, like it hasn't gone out.
We would delete that section.
Thinking, you know, which maybe or something, calls materials in need of repair, replacement, or have not circulated. Or which have not circulated. I don't know, something's weirdish with the grammar there.
Maybe just that doesn't really make sense.
It is, yeah.
So let's do this, repair or replacement, period.
Most things gives the public library the foundation of opening and an update collection of building materials and
I'm not sure it needs all that because it's outlined below, physical condition. I don't know.
Yeah.
In the guidelines, do the guidelines include one for, not circulating? I'm sure they do. Yeah, use. So I don't know if we need to, put all of that, make that
Maybe it's
sentence
too
do all that
much.
work.
Yeah,
Leaving that it needs a repair or replacement, deleting down to items dealing with local history.
So are we gonna take out the provide, is the sentence ending at repair and replacement?
Yes, so
Right.
that would be
Okay.
needed.
Okay, so all that is deleted. I'm fine with that.
Item A, replacing yellow with discolored, be more inclusive to first books. And then we go down to long. So I'm not going to read it out loud. I'll let us all just take a second to review this? Can we all see this?
Patron is
Sorry, this one?
yeah, a patron with this, who does this, but I think it should be is
With that one big paragraph,
The top one?
it
Yes.
would read better if we just had the beginning sentence, and instead of having Kellogg Library every other sentence, maybe do a bullet point. Fill up all this, look at these things rather than us another be Kellogg Library. Might be more clear.
yeah, it is.
These, yeah.
The sentences aren't parallel grammatically though, which is going to do that.
But I do think you need to at least start the first paragraph with the, right, the, that's the way we got it.
That paragraph is an attempt to just summarize everything above.
I'm fine with everything that I can see on that page up to the number 1.
Okay, do we have consensus there? So item 1, and this, just for clarification, this, where I cut it out, put it at the bottom, that way I'm just saying at the after the process. We're still saying that's staying on the shelf until then, but just not starting the process with it staying on the shelf.
May I ask a question to the group regarding the timeline of this meeting? Only because it is my husband's birthday and my family is waiting for me to do presents. And I need to alert them in the range of how late are we staying?
So this is the last section.
Okay.
On the agenda, we have Rick's report and Friends of the Town in our library. I don't know how much time.
I can just whip through those really quick.
Okay, I don't need more information than that. Sorry, I was just doing a gentle feel of the situation.
I'm
Any concern with item 1? Item 2, any concern with item 2?
Is that the name of the form?
It might be, I think it's called request for reconsideration. You might want to name the form. Citizen request, oh gosh, it's way at the end.
It's citizens.
I think it's
request.
citizens request for reconsideration.
Yep.
So we might want to name it. Get back in that other part.
that work?
Let's say Kyle Public Library. Correct?
It should.
And where it says, yeah. I think this is the section that's gonna need a lot of cleanup just based on that.
Item 4,
Is that what the process is?
sorry, give me a second. Said which one?
Collective collection.
Yeah, maybe that needs to be fixed, right?
Item 4,
So the only thing on this one is just the days. So in item 4, in item 5, we use business days. But then on number 8, we say just days. I didn't know if that was an oversight or not, because we need to keep it consistent. Otherwise, we're not giving enough time to do the final decision.
It should say business.
Okay,
Yeah.
so as long as you have that, then
Intent is 3 months. I'm just gonna keep it 90%.
We could do it less. I mean,
yeah, I can agree with you, Julie, because if we're talking about the schedules of the library board, we don't operate on business days, we operate on months. So keeping it to 90 would give us 3 meetings versus 90 business days would get us 4.5.
Well, it's 90 business days from the receipt of the form. So,
it's gonna eat up all the time, because you have 30 business days that the director, right? And so once you start doing the math, and if you leave it at 90 days, you're leaving it, it's not even a month. And you have to schedule the meeting and also let the patron and other folks know that we're gonna be hearing the, the case. So I don't think that then 25 days is enough time to get that done.
So I see your point. I think the better option is keeping it at 90 calendar days. But the date starts not from the receipt of the original form, but it starts from when the patron appeals the
That would
rule.
work.
yeah, the way that's worded is it's 90 days from when it's first received, so it's not 30 days. I mean, it's not adding on to the first original.
right, yeah, it's 90 days collectively. This whole process has to happen in 90 days.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Varies my,
Yeah.
Kind of see most for not coming with comments in here. There's no click that's safe. So we have patron can file a bill in 15 business days to this board.
I mean, the thing we have to think about is during this time, we have to read the book, if you haven't read the book. And then we have to get together to talk about it. We may not agree the first time, or we may not have a vote that is, you know, it could be controversial, it could take, I mean, I know it sounds like a long time, but
90 days go by fast.
Yeah, that's why if you put in 90 days from the appeal, I feel more comfortable there.
'Cause if we don't know that there's a problem,
Right.
we can't start taking action. We would not know there's a problem until there's an appeal that's received. But at some point, you can just resolve the issue and it never needs to come to us.
Especially if there's energy for a lot of us.
Right.
To live with them, then we need more time, we need more.
Any other notes for items 4 through 8, which is the timeline?
Under number 6, do we need to be specific on how the individual will be notified, who notifies the individual?
The chair.
Yeah, I think that's.
Number 8, you need,
and then with the director too.
How many times have I typed this? Do you think I did better?
I don't type well in front of others.
Muscle memories are really.
do you want that last sentence to say,
Sorry, which one?
the last sentence for the duration of the process?
And 6 was taken care of, right? And then on 5, the fact that it's being sent to the library board, I'm assuming how that will the decision issued in number 4 have all that information? The reasons for the decision and appeal rights or something like that, right?
I'm just curious. At the beginning of the policy, did you ever think of just putting a sentence or disclaimer saying that the library board would be, or how the library would ever would be referred to as just library director of the board?
Like, we're doing-
We did not do that. I think to go back and correct that.
Taking that.
Yeah,
that's maybe
that
that
would
would
be
be
easier.
We actually.
This is the-
I don't disagree with you. I think we're sage. Power through.
Do you want to add that, how the board will notify in writing?
You mean informing the patron? I think we would leave it open-ended. We'll have the contact information from the patron. It'll be the, whatever method we can get.
It says in writing, number 4. Yeah, number 4 is in writing.
Thanks, sorry guys.
Thank you.
I'm trying to balance the best I can.
Don't.
Second.
And so the last comment I had on number 8, the second sentence. Can we just say the decision is final? That's it. Instead of once,
Mhm.
third line that starts once, right? The third line, it starts with once. Once that decision is made, it is final. I think we just say the decision is final.
Is fine. And then no without it.
That one is just important, that we don't want the same book to keep coming up over and over again. So that's why that one is,
We keep it in.
That's why I like that's the same, it's like very good.
Yeah, it's fine if that's it, right?
that can be taken out.
Okay. Section 10, just updating Kyle Public Library twice. Slight edits here of those not added to the collection shall be dispersed as deemed appropriate by the library director.
Have any other edits?
Okay. So we have no authority. No authority over next. We're gonna make that this page. Continuing on, we can't address any of these other things.
The only thing that I may be, I have to check is, sometimes these things have been updated by the entity, ALA, or wherever. And then at the bottom, it says the most recent. I'm pretty sure that I went through and made sure we had the most updated, but I'll just double check. Because those do get edited from time to time. Well, this needs a little work.
Distance.
Just, not like, I thought we were saying it was patron that does this, right? Not citizen.
Yes.
And then it has to be changed in the,
Sometimes citizen doesn't do this very often.
and then it's, yeah, citizen right there too. Okay, just right there at the top of that one, yeah. And then the other thing is that we don't have a PO box anymore, we have physical address, and it's 550 Scott Street. $550. There we go.
Any concerns with item 1? Item 2? Item 3? Item 4? Item 5 is just that simple correction. Item 6, adding listening.
Should it just be reading or listening? Or reading, So it's watching this right there. So reading, comma, listening or watching, right? Yeah, instead of the, yeah.
Item
I-
7,
I added a question in there, but
I'm sorry.
it's down a little ways. It's after 7.
Oh.
I'm sorry, you were.
Item 7 is just, do you disapprove? Item 8. This shall become item 1.
And I don't know if this is the right way to word this, but, so basically saying, you have a suggestion that of another book that would, or to add. And I don't necessarily need to replace it, but like basically trying to offer an opportunity to give a suggestion.
I think it's worded fine.
But I don't know the part about relation to the topic of the material. That's where I'm not sure if that needs to be.
Related.
I'll give you an example. When I had a challenge in Hutto, the book was about about a gay boy in adolescence, and the person recommended, it was a graphic novel, and the person recommended a teenager's guide to homosexuality from a Christian standpoint. And I mean, it was fun. I actually added the book to the collection. I mean, I'm not laughing at that, but I mean, the point is that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is another, and there were good reviews on it and all this. So my point is that it's not a place to make a recommendation in general. It's saying, if this particular book bothered you because of the topic, I don't know if I'm wording it in an accurate
To the
way.
topic in question.
Yeah, is there an alternative that you would, or an addition? That's what I'm trying to say.
I agree. It's also worded wrong.
Mm.
And then it's not.
Because it's not saying, okay, this is going to go away and your book will take the place of it. It's saying, okay, this is here, but is there something else that you would, yeah, like it's that balance, you know?
But the way it's written right now, isn't that open-ended for anything? It's not specific. I
Yeah.
mean, is that what you're intending to do, to be?
I guess, I'm trying to think of how it was worded in the Hutto one. I can't really remember, but I mean, basically the intention is it's giving the person who's upset an opportunity to have a voice for an
I
alternative.
think that's probably it. Because it's not necessarily both purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
what we
yeah,
brought
yeah.
up in last time we were talking about this about not making this more shorter because
Yes,
it can lead to another section.
yeah.
Any other notes on item 10? Item 11? Joy, do any of your comments?
Let me talk about that.
Okay.
The one that you wish I was here for, like the parent guardian, it wasn't really more words in that section, but just we want to reference the policies that do exist about parents' authority.
But the part about the, like parents and kids' cards being linked, that's all stuff that we're gonna have to address in that policy.
Is that other policy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was my thought, that we would be a good daycare. I think it's an existence.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to move through and accept all these changes. Bring cursory review to make sure we don't have any weird grammatical things with all the changes. So this is going to be blue.
What a work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other comments, statements, concerns, disapprovals, etc. Okay. Hearing none, I will make a motion. I'm gonna have you record it specifically for the minutes. Let me know whenever you're ready.
Okay, is this under number 2? Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Making a motion to submit the collection development policy as amended.
As amended.
As amended
Mhm.
to the Kyle City Council for approval under the current ordinance structure.
Mhm.
For consideration,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Mhm.
in a June 2023 meeting. And again, the consideration there is that if the council approves on Tuesday to change the current ordinances, then this is no longer how we're going to do it. But if it is still as they want it to be, then it's available for the consideration in June when we get to present it. So that's my motion.
Mhm.
Is there a second? Hearing a second?
Karen?
All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Ellen, we'll give you this contact.
Okay, thank you.
Now, hit save first, actually. Was it
Yeah,
automatic
I think it's
save?
auto
Okay.
save, yeah. And I'll send that out to everyone?
Yeah,
or-
if you don't mind.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
way, those who aren't here have a copy.
Okay, great, great. Okay, so I'll do a marathon speed, library director's report. Lots of really good news, a little bit of sad news. Kara, our assistant director, announced she's retiring. Sad, but happy for her too. She's retired, her last day will be June 30th. And, I'm working with her to get everything sort of, she's been with the library for 12 years. So I'm working with her to get, making sure I have everything, in my hands and understanding so that, there's not pieces missed or dropped or anything. And we're going to be working on getting her job description together to put that posting out there. Also, we have had the book sale was a big success. We raised $1,500 for the Friends. Our teen job fair was a big success. We had almost 300 people come, and a lot of teens and a lot of really happy parents guiding their kids to come up and talk to future employers and stuff. It was really great. Our training day went really well. Michael and Karen and I all went to the Texas Library Association conference, learned a lot of things. I attended some panels about bookmobiles, so I could have some more ideas about moving forward with that. Our Food for Fines is going really well. We're going to use the food that was donated without fines attached to, at the end, forgive patrons fines who didn't bring in canned goods. We're having an Asian American Pacific Islander event on the 23rd. A thing for teens and up for making a Zen garden, and then a movie Moana. And we're also having food with the Arts Commission Arts and Cultural Commission is paying for food from Koi Restaurant and from a food truck over there across from the park for people to sample Asian cuisine, which is
What is the event called? Asian?
It's just Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month event. So we have a couple different things going on. And then I also today got this program that's put out by Bookspring, which is a nonprofit in Austin. They have a program for anyone in the state of Texas, any family to sign up to get books delivered to their home for kids ages 0 to 4. And it's like, I think monthly or maybe like 6 times a year. I can't remember exactly, but we just got these in, and so I'm excited to put these up, and there's handouts I give out at the desk. And so, and they're to keep, they're free. So it's really to increase literacy opportunities for families, get free books delivered to you, and also digital books too. And also like tips for parents about reading to their kids. So I think that's about it on my report. And then the friends weren't able to come to the meeting, but they called and asked for me to give the report for them. So Jody Watson, the interim manager of the thrift store, was just named the manager, not interim anymore. And they are doing very well with sales. They are going to do some updates to the electrical in the store, I guess, some little remodeling kind of stuff. And they supported the professional development day luncheon that we had here. They provided wonderfully awesome catered meal for us. And also they just bought 4 new early literacy computers for the library. They haven't arrived yet, but we had 6 at one time, and we are now down to 2. They purchased them before, and all the warranties are up on them, so now they're buying us 4 more. So, yeah, so.
4 more. 4 more what?
Oh, computers, literacy,
computers.
early
Okay.
literacy, they're called AWE, early literacy computers. Yeah, they are very, very well used and well loved by our patrons, so. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's it for me.
I have 2 quick questions.
Yes.
Is one, would you mind sending us the new policy to review, consider for the June
Yes.
meeting? That we have these ones knocked off.
Uh-huh.
And then the second question, a topic for the future,
Yes.
not in the next few months.
Uh-huh.
Would you send any kind of literature or resources on like the conversation regarding AI in libraries?
Mhm.
That's going to be a topic that is going to grow. And I don't even know the questions to ask you
Mhm.
on this topic.
Mhm.
So just kind of thinking ahead, maybe in 2024, list of things once the policies are updated. How do we need to properly be considering this emerging technology in the
Mhm.
context of libraries?
Okay. Got it. Awesome.
If there are no other questions,
No, you can just restate the second question.
yes.
please. I
A request for resources for our education on the topic of AI.
Perfect, got it.
And did you want me to send the interlibrary one too? Because we did modify it just a little, so there's a new one to send to people too.
Yeah, I just wanted to send out both of those.
Okay.
That way we have those current copies of both.
Okay,
We don't want to.
no problem.
All right. If there are no other questions regarding that, we'll go on to the last item. Our next library board meeting is scheduled for June 8th at 7 p.m. As a quick heads up, on the following one for July, that meeting, Helene is not going to be available, so we have a few options. We could either think about moving the date or just have somebody else on the staff fill in. That's also within 2 weeks of my wife's due date. So at any point in there, I may be out of pocket. Since Racey's also possibly out of pocket for the next month or 2, we don't mind just communicating as we be out here to make sure we have a forum. And we wouldn't mind coming to the June meeting with your July calendars. That way, if we need to discuss alternative meeting schedule, we can. Perfect. So, I'll let Mary catch up. Awesome. With all that in mind, is there a motion to adjourn? There's been a motion, is there a second? Hearing a second, all in favor? All opposed? All right, the motion passes, we are adjourned at 8:50.
Wow. Way to get it in.
You guys are amazing.
And did Jessica sign the minutes before she ducked out?